Hi, welcome back to Cheyenne, Wyoming Urban Gardener, Garden Zone 5A, 5B. This is Debbie. We are out here in the garden. It is supposed to be 84 degrees Fahrenheit today, which is fantastic. That'll be the first time that we're actually hitting into the 80s all spring because it has been rainy every single day until yesterday. Yesterday it didn't rain, and today it doesn't look like there's any forecast for rain. So we did actually have to get out here and water the garden a little bit, surprisingly. So we got out here and watered and taking care of some things. Pruning some plants. We got in here and pruned up some of our eggplants. They had some rough leaves from where they had suffered through a hailstorm at the very beginning of the season. And we could probably have more hailstorms. That's just the way it is in Cheyenne. We do get a lot of hailstorms all throughout Wyoming. And I got in here and just trimmed out some leaves. You can see where I put the leaves there, and so they look a lot better than they did. They're actually growing quite nicely. So hopefully they will put on some new growth. Since we trimmed the leaves, they should fill out a little bit more. Everything is looking so good in here. And one of the other projects that we're doing today is we got this large container given to us yesterday. And I went ahead and got it filled up. Now, it is not filled completely with soil. And I wish I had shown you the complete process, but it's kind of the same that I did with my kiddie pools. This container is probably at least a 20-gallon container, if not more, 25-gallon maybe. And what I did was I filled it halfway up with sticks and debris and some stones and some leaves and a whole bunch of other things that I had. That doesn't now have to go into the compost pile, which goes off to the city. That will stay in my containers. So we did fill it up about halfway with all of those materials. And then the rest we put a bag of compost and then a bag of soil. Well, not even a full bag, about a half a bag of soil, because that's about all I had left at the moment. So we have that in here, and then I'm going to put in some vermiculite, so that'll even that out and make it retain moisture a little bit better, so we don't have to water it as often. And a little bit of perlite just to make sure that it stays nice and soft and loose. So there you have it. I have my container now all full, and we're going to figure out what we're going to plant into this. And we're just pruning up some tomatoes today as well. We've got all these tomatoes here, so I pruned up with those a little bit and went in and made sure that they were pulled up into the tomato cages how they're supposed to be, and the tomatillos as well. So we've been taking care of that, just doing some general maintenance here in the container garden and the regular garden both. So we have our tomatillos now all standing all up so nice because they have been put up in the tomato cages how they're supposed to go. So you can see they look a lot taller now than they did in the last couple of videos, just because they had gotten that tall. They just hadn't been through the tomato cages how they're supposed to go. And then of course we still have two tomatillos over here that are still loose. So those guys do not have any cages on them. I do have a couple of more cages, but this kiddie pool is a little bit too shallow for it to have the tomato cages standing up the way they're supposed to. So we're just going to have to stake these, which we already did, and tie them up as we go. The super sauce tomatoes that I had remaining and went ahead and planted are just ballooning out now. The heat is what they really wanted. It hit, it's probably already into the 80s right now, and we're at about 9 o'clock in the morning. And they have already started just putting on some massive new growth. And even this one over here in the pepper pot is definitely putting on some new growth, perking up quite a bit. All the peppers are enjoying the heat. You can see they definitely have perked up quite a bit and are enjoying the nice sun, and so are the artichokes. The artichokes are just growing by leaps and bounds at this point. My grandson has his little wagon out here right now. Anyway, look at all those nice tomatoes. They are just growing amazingly. And again, most of these are my own seed that I had started. And again, I do have to pause from time to time because I do have my grandson out here. Everything is looking amazing. These strawberries are just knocking it out of the park. I actually had a runner that attached into a tomato pot that I had back here in the back, so I went ahead and got that one snipped because it's already rooted in, and we'll just pull it out when it perks up a little bit again. Once you snip them like that, they kind of go droopy for a little while, a couple of days usually. And then we put our runners that had gone in other places back into the container, just so they can take root and be where they're supposed to be, and finish filling out this container. Our watermelons and things have started coming up now. We do have a couple of watermelons in here, so I don't want the front to really be covered that much. We have a lot more blooming and a lot more strawberries coming on. And these sunflowers we trimmed up a little bit as well. They have a lot of leaves on the bottom, and sometimes they can block out the sun from getting to the rest of the plants, and we took care of that. And our loofah sponges, which is basically a squash, are taking off like crazy now. You can see that. They definitely needed the heat as well. So they have definitely started to take off and do their thing. And we've got a couple of cucumbers that are planted in here that should be up in the next couple of days, if not today, because they are going to enjoy this sun. And we went ahead and staked up our tomatoes that we had put into the galvanized steel container that replaced our lettuce in here. So we got those staked up. We don't have any tomato cages that are short enough to accommodate being in a galvanized steel container. So we'll just have to tie those up as we go, which will be fine. And that is kind of making do with what you have. I had a lot of bamboo stakes here in my garage when we first moved in this house, and we have been slowly using those. I mean, even if after they've been basically used for about 7 or 8 years, we're still using them. We try to take care of them as much as we can. And if they start fraying or the ends start getting bad or anything like that, we just trim them off and keep using them. Or we will make teepee trellises out of those, or whatever we need to use them for. But a lot of the bamboo stakes that I have are recycled stakes that I found in the garage when we moved here. I have purchased some. I have started purchasing some of the green stakes that we found at our local Menards recently, and I believe they were 39 cents a piece. So we got some of those, about 24 of them. I'm really cautious about what all I purchase for the garden, because I don't want to run into a situation where the garden's actually costing me more than it should to produce the food that we're going to put away. Look at all the beans today. They're definitely going to like the heat. We had a few beans die off from all the rain. So we had a little stretch of beans right over here that died off. And then another one on the next row behind it that had died off. And there's been a few of them happen like that. And it's all of the rain that happens, because they like it kind of drier. Our okra is coming up now. But that is generally what we're doing right now in the garden. We've got everything watered. We've got everything taken care of. We have trimmed. We have gotten new containers ready. We are getting ready to go inside, get some seeds, and start planting into the containers. It's just about too hot for me to be out here, and I may have to wait until this evening to come out and work on that. But everything is definitely going to like the heat today. Maybe not the lettuces so much, because that can cause them to bolt. But I don't think we'll have any problem with that. We usually don't. The only reason that the lettuce bolted in those galvanized steel containers is because they do heat up quite a bit, and that'll be great for the tomatoes. But everything is just looking fantastic. Just amazed at the size of all of these flowers at this point. And now we're starting to really see ladybugs and assassin bugs and all kinds of things. I saw some ladybug larvae yesterday, and those will be turning into ladybugs soon. And that's what helps keep us from having to use a lot of pesticides or anything like that. We don't use them. We are all organic here. If you want to, what you want to call organic is that we don't use pesticides at all. If we have any pests, we usually just come out and pick them off. And again, when I say we, it's mostly myself. But my partner is learning more and more about the garden as we go. And lots of things are still coming up, like our squash and cucumbers and things like that, because it had been so cool and so wet for so long that none of those things had came up yet. Or if I had planted them from started seed, which this is the ones that we had seed started, it's just that they did not do a whole lot of growth while it was so cool and so wet. And you can see our Idaho potatoes now coming up. We got a couple of rows of those. They're very short rows, just basically just a few of the extras that I had that were sprouting. I probably have more sprouted inside the house now, and but I'm out of room. I don't have anywhere else to put potatoes at this point, unless I put them in containers, and I'll have to buy a lot of soil for that. So at the moment, I'm trying to figure out a more cost-efficient way to do that without having to start purchasing a lot of soil to put in those containers and drill holes and things like that. But we'll figure this out as we go. So anyway, that's what's happening here in the garden. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell for notices on new videos as they come out. I hope everyone's enjoying the videos. And if you're here in Wyoming and you're checking out these videos, or you're in Garden Zone 5A, 5B, and you're finding things that you enjoy about the videos, if they're helping you with any inspiration, motivation, or if you'd like to see different content or you have questions, just let me know in the comments below, and we will see what we can do to address that. All right, we'll see you in the next one.